we will study apart from it, that is structure of Indian banking system. If you see about structure of Indian banking system, the RBI is the apex bank of Indian banking system. It is the highest monetary authority of India. All banks in India, they are controlled, monitored, they are regulated by RBI itself. If you see this picture, RBI is on the top, that is apex bank. Then comes, there are two categories. First is scheduled banks and second is unscheduled banks. So scheduled banks are again classified as commercial banks and cooperative banks. These are two types of scheduled banks, commercial banks and cooperative banks. Commercial banks are again subdivided into public sector banks, private sector banks, foreign banks, and regional rural banks. While cooperative banks are divided into two types, urban cooperative banks, then state cooperative banks. And public sector banks are classified as SBI and its associate banks, then other nationalized banks, and then other public sector banks like regional rural banks and other various other public sector banks. And private sector banks are totally divided in two categories. First is, there were old private sector banks, 14 old private sector banks, and new private sector banks. So this is the overall summary, or this is the overall picture of Indian banking system which is there in our nation. Now, RBI we have studied in the last class. As we know that it has established since 1935, before independence. Then the apex body of Indian banking system, we call it as RBI. It is the highest authority. Then headquarter, it is there in Mumbai. We have seen that. Then India's monetary authority, we call it for RBI. Supervisor of financial system. It is the supervisor of financial system. It supervises all the financial transactions, financial affairs of the country. Then issuer of currencies, banker to a bank, banker to a government, maintains financial stability. So these are all functions we have seen in the last class. So RBI is apex bank of India. This is the first monetary authority. Then comes, as I have told you, scheduled banks and unscheduled banks. Scheduled banks are those whose name appears in the second schedule of Reserve Bank of India Act of 1934. In this schedule second, the list of the bank which appearing in the RBI Act of 1934, those banks are called as scheduled banks. And unscheduled or non-scheduled banks are those whose name doesn't appear in the second schedule of RBI Act of 1934. The name which was established in the 1934, that name, if it is appearing in the list of scheduled bank in the RBI Act of 1934, we call it as scheduled banks. If that name is not appearing, we directly call those banks as non-scheduled bank or unscheduled banks. So under scheduled banks, so under this particularly scheduled banks who are whose name is appearing in RBI Act of 1934, it is classified, as I told you, two types. First is commercial banks and second is cooperative banks. So as we know, the commercial banks are banks which mainly deals with the transactions of money. They do all banking, commercial activities, operations, like they will accept the deposits, they will grant you loan for the public, right? They do all the functions which are helpful for the public. And the main intention, do you know why the commercial banks have started in India? They have been nationalized. They started so many commercial banks. The reason was, the many people at the time of independence or even after independence, many money lender, they were spoiling or they were taking the money of Indian innocent farmers. So to avoid that, particularly commercial banks came into existence, right? So as we know, there are various types. First is public sector commercial banks. Public sector commercial banks are those which are owned, controlled by the government. Fully it is controlled and managed by the government. The supervision is done by the government. The monitoring is done by the government. Controlling is done by the government. All the nationalized banks are and regional rural banks are public sector banks. You can take Syndicate Bank, you can take Canara Bank, right? There are so many banks which have been merged right now, right? Like Corporation Bank was there, Syndicate Bank is there, Union Bank is there. These three banks have been merged, right? Right now it is called as Union Bank. Right. So these all banks like State Bank, Bank of Baroda, Syndicate Bank, Vijaya Bank, Canara Bank, right? Many more banks are there. These all are public sector banks. These are controlled by the government, monitored by the government. Even the recruitment of the staff is done, it is done by a government authority only. So such banks are public sector bank. Government will be responsible. If you keep any deposit with the bank, if anything happens to the deposits, or if anything happens to the locker, who will be responsible? To whom you are going to ask? To the government itself, because these are public sector bank. Next is private sector banks. These are the banks owned, controlled by the private institutions, and these are not controlled by the government. Government is not controlling here, right? But government, like RBI, is monitoring the affairs of private bank, but it is controlled, managed by the private individuals or the firms or companies. Like ICICI Bank is there, South Indian Bank is there, Axis Bank is there, HDFC Bank is there. So many more private banks are there who are controlled by the private peoples. Third is foreign banks, right? In commercial banks, there are third categories. Those are foreign banks. These are the banks which are being formed and registered in foreign countries, or these are formed and registered outside India. They are registered outside India. They are doing the business outside India, but they have started their branch in India. Such type of banks are foreign bank. Like HSBC Bank, the words local bank we call. Even in that bank, some scam has happened. So similarly, Citibank, right? Citibank is there. Yes Bank is there, right? Or various other banks you can find. These are registered outside India, or these are established outside India, but they have started their branch in India. Such type of banks are called as foreign banks. Then comes regional rural banks, right? Regional rural banks were established by the Regional Rural Bank Act 1976 with a view to satisfy the banking facilities and credit needs of the rural people. They were started because to help the rural population, help the rural people. Urban population were having various opportunities. They were having various options. Like they can go for the private banks, they can go for commercial banks, they can go for foreign banks. But what about the rural population? The government thought on this and they started government rural banks. Those were called as regional rural banks. So like Kerala Grameen Bank is there, and even Karnataka Grameen Bank is there. So these all banks are helping generally the need of the rural people, right? Andhra Pradesh Grameen Vikas Bank is there, Chaitanya Godavari Grameen Bank is there, and even Grameen Bank of Karnataka is there. So these all banks are called as regional rural banks who will fulfill the needs of the rural people in the villages. Then comes the second type. In the scheduled bank, the first type we have discussed, those were public sector banks, those were the private banks, those were foreign banks, those were regional rural banks. Second type of scheduled banks are cooperative banks. See, these are banks which have been established according to Cooperative Act. And here, to start this bank, you need the proper number of share allotment. You require the number of directors. Then after this, the cooperative bank, the share here, who is holding more than 51% in the primary setup of the purpose of services, then the farming community and laid up like for infrastructure, for farming, etc. will be given. More than 51% of that particular investment or the things what you are giving as loans will be given to the farming in cooperative banks. So there are various district level cooperative banks, urban level cooperative banks, right? State level cooperative banks. So various types of, again, cooperative banks are there. Among them, the popular one is urban cooperative banks. So the urban cooperative banks are those which are not formally defined primary to the primary cooperative banks located in urban and semi-urban areas. These banks till 1996 were allowed to lend money only for non-agricultural purposes. the distinction does not hold today, right? So here these banks were traditionally centered around the communities, localities, work group places. These essentially lent to small borrowers and businesses, right? Now we can see this type of bank before some particular aid like 1996. They were generally providing loan for non-agricultural lives, but they were providing for small businesses. But after that, even in large amount, they are started to provide loan for the agricultural activities also, right? Agricultural activities also. The best example for cooperative banks are MSC banks, which is Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank Limited, is one of the urban cooperative bank, Maharashtra State Cooperative Bank. Similarly, Karnataka State Apex Cooperative Bank. This is also an urban cooperative bank, right? Next comes the State Cooperative Bank. The State Cooperative Bank are the affects cooperative bank or institutions in a state. They are a federation of the district cooperative bank and the monitor the activities of all cooperative banks in the state. Right, like the Kerala State Cooperative Bank Limited, Orissa State Cooperative Bank Limited, even West Bengal State Cooperative Bank Limited. Right. Similarly, Karnataka State Cooperative Bank Limited. Right. So what they do, they will monitor all the cooperative banks which are working in the state. They are the highest authority of all cooperative state banks. There are so many cooperative banks in Bijapur, right? So many cooperative banks in Bagalkot, so many cooperative banks in some other cities of Karnataka. So some highest body should be there who should cooperative bank in the state. So the Karnataka State Cooperative Bank, which is the affects bank of all cooperative banks in Karnataka, will manage all the affairs or will see all the affairs. Will see the various NPA of the banks, will see the deposits, will see the loans, will see the profit of the bank, right? Based on that, the decision will be said to the central government. So the state cooperative banks will play a very, very important role. Then comes National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development. You call them as NABARD, right? National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development. So National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development was established as an affects bank that provides finance for agriculture and rural development. See, when the agricultural people, the farmers or the other people, when they were in need of some money to buy some equipments for the agriculture or to buy some tools for the agriculture, equipments for the agriculture, or if they need any money for harvesting purpose, it was very difficult for them to go and ask money for the nationalized bank. So then the National Bank for Agricultural and Rural Development was started. This bank was totally in support because the reason is in India we can see that more than 60% of the population is engaged in agriculture and allied activities. It may be agriculture, it may be animal husbandry, it may be farming, it may be fishery, right? Allied activities, primary sector we can call. So to support this primary sector, because that is the employment of all that persons, right? That is the employment for all those persons, and even it gives more amount of money for our GDP also. To support that many people, the government started to bring so many facilities. It may be regional rural banks, and even it may be National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development.